Hello everyone, this is a speedrun of Resident Evil 3. It is in the knife-only category on PC, and the completion time is 51 minutes and 46 seconds. This is my first PB on PC, so it's about 5 minutes behind. I kind of did a little bit of a rush job so that I could record a quick video for AGDQ submissions. But I would place a rough estimate in a marathon run around anywhere between 55 minutes to an hour.
September 28th, daylight.
With the worst possible luck, worst possible RNG.
Somehow, I'm still alive.
So the first thing we gotta do is get rid of the handgun and grab the key to get out of this warehouse here. Most people generally equip the knife when they grab it from the box at the post office, but I choose to do it a little earlier because this is a knife-only run, and I'm not really 100% comfortable with the idea of using the handgun for emergency evades. Because equipping a handgun enables you to do the emergency evades, that's a mechanic unique to Resident Evil 3 that I will get to explaining later. So when Brad busts out the door, there's like a gaggle of zombies. Because this is the PC version and load times are instantaneous, you can take advantage of a trick to reset their positions and open up a path to the lighter oil by simply exiting and re-entering the room. I equipped the knife there. Because of the zombies' proximity, it's actually a little bit easier to use emergency evades on those zombies. I'm trying to deliberately stay out of the way of these other zombies so that I don't go below 180 health. Generally 1 bite is acceptable on the basement, but sometimes we'll wind up taking 2, maybe 3. When there are groups of zombies like that, a lot of times they stay on a set path for maybe like 1-2 seconds, and then they just kind of go all over the place after maybe 3 seconds or so. But in a knife-only run, emergency evading is your friend. What emergency evading is you press R1, and the time between Jill is standing still and the time between she is aiming, so like those 2 points right there. If an enemy's attacks land anywhere in that animation, then Jill will execute either a shove if it's a zombie or a sidestep if it's another enemy, such as Nemesis over here. The fastest way to deal with this particular part here after Nemesis kills Brad is to simply choose to fight him, but turn around and go towards the door manually, because choosing to run to the police station will actually have like a 3-second long cutscene play, which is significantly slower than just manually turning around and going to the door. The 4 solutions to this puzzle are 0131, 0513, 4011, and 4312. There is a trick that was discovered maybe about 6 months ago where you can actually increase the speed of inputs toward the default cursor position by simply jiggling the D-pad right and left, because you can move the cursor faster than you can select the default option. This is called delayed input canceling. heading out of the police station, going towards the restaurant area to try and get into City Hall. Second Nemesis encounter, don't gotta worry about him much. The only thing that you have to worry about is going into Marvin's office over here, knowing which enemy pattern is there, and being able to specifically navigate around the zombies accordingly. There's two enemy patterns. One is a good pattern, one is a bad pattern. The bad pattern adds maybe about like 3 seconds, depending on whether you stomp ahead or you take the longer, safer route around all of them. One of the things you may have noticed about the PC version is that you can actually skip the doors. You do so by pressing the map key. Certain doors, such as the doors to save rooms, have a little bit of a slower fade in. You can actually skip the door faster by waiting a couple of seconds, and then that way the engine won't choke while it's trying to load the next area. This generally only happens because of the way the sound engine works. It's a little unfortunate I got tagged by that Drain Demos there. Drain Demos have a propensity to just like kind of jump wherever they want within a certain distance or radius, and whenever they land on top of you, then they catch you in a grab. Dodge in the previous room, a little bit clutch. Because the zombies coming down the stairs, you have to be able to lure one zombie forward and then run up the stairs before their buddies make it down, at which point you will trigger them to puke.
This way.
Instead of grab you and bite you. So a new route change that was discovered since the last time this game was run at a GDQ event is actually related directly to live selections. You want to go directly into the basement because it actually saves time on skipping extra cutscenes. Did a little shove on that zombie there so I could get to the save room, grab the crank. But by choosing to go into the basement, this changes the events, which is one of the things I actually really like about Resident Evil 3, is just the branching events and scenario design in general. You can see different parts of the story that you otherwise wouldn't before in a previous playthrough by simply selecting other options or letting them time out. But in particular, what this does is this skips a very small section of forced cutscene on the train, and also it changes your positions in several other cutscenes that you skip because Nikolai and Carlos show up in different areas. After we grab the green jewel here, Nemesis will pop up between here and the door. If he's walking, you just wait for him to move into an area where you can run around him. But if he's running, then you can squeeze around him, just kind of jiggle the D-pad left and right a little bit, and then you'll get around him. Just run a specific line. Another place where the door skips can slow down is if Nemesis appears in a room, because then the background BGM changes and you have to wait for the section of background BGM where whereas pursuit music is playing. Once that fades out, you can skip the door. In this room over here, there's two patterns, one where the zombies are awake and the others where the zombies are asleep. You want the zombies to be asleep generally, because when they're awake, there's a particularly pesky zombie at the back door next to the clown car. There can either be zombies or dogs on this particular section here. Of course, you want dogs, because dogs are easier to run around, and you'll get significantly less time loss if you get bit.
Jill, put this on.
So now we've got our side pack, our 10 slots, and our wrench, so we can go to the gas station next, which is one of the areas affected by choosing to go into the basement at the restaurant. Largely, for the most part, the any % route and the knife route are they're largely similar. The main areas that it differs are in boss fights, naturally, because those are the only enemies that you actually need to kill in order to proceed with the game. Pretty much anything else, you know, just run around them. So the routing itself is not nearly as complex in a knife run, but there's still a lot of execution. Execution is the main focus of a knife run. Requires a little bit of luck too. So there's our second first aid spray. This puzzle here, the lights are whichever one you hit, the ones to the left and right will also toggle. Generally, you can clear all the solutions in about 2 to 3 presses. So more zombies are going to bust out of this door here. I try to position for an emergency evade here, because Jill's recovery frames are actually a lot shorter with an emergency evade as opposed to getting bit and shoving off. But the emergency evade, one of the added benefits to being able to shove with the emergency evade is that Jill can shove the zombie that she just emergency evaded into other zombies. But the effect only stacks once, so you have to kind of be careful with your angling, your positioning, at which point you're only able to play dominoes with maybe 2 extra zombies, depending on the positions of the others. Whichever other zombies come into contact with the zombie you just shoved get knocked back, or knocked forward, depending on how the hitboxes intersect. So that zombie's going to walk forward. That zombie there, got to make sure that he's not going to move. I think when he does like the little shoulder thing that he does, I'm not exactly sure he can actually interrupt that animation into a forward movement animation, but now that we're back in this area, there's a clear path to get to the compass, but now we have to worry about our escape. And the zombies, once they reach this part of the courtyard, sometimes they will crowd, sometimes they won't. But if they don't, you can get away with dodging around them one at a time. If things get too hairy, you can emergency evade as long as they don't stack up on you. If they're going to stack up on you, you may as well just go ahead and take the bite and shove them. So wait for that one to move forward. And then this other one, because he's in such an awkward position and he winds up turning in such a way that his body is always going to be blocking whether you dodge him left or right, the only way to reliably get around him is by either decapitating him or emergency evading him. And in both any percent and in knife runs, I generally prefer to use an emergency evade with the knife to get around him. So coming down the elevator here, fortunately, I got the good pattern in this run, where the zombies are all gathered together on that slope. If the zombies are on even a little bit of a different Z coordinate than Jill is, that is, if they are higher or lower, then they will always vomit. So when they vomit, before the vomit actually comes out, when they rear their heads back, you have full push priority, as it's called, where you can actually like push around them without doing anything else special. Basically, you gain a little bit of weight. It's kind of like in Dark Souls. Whenever you equip heavier armor, you can push around zombies you get to push them around a little bit. And this works with several enemies at different angles, but it's only truly completely 100% reliable on zombies. So getting around Nemesis here, we don't got to worry about doing any slow door skips or anything like that because the background music is still going to remain the same. Except maybe around exiting that save room there, I noticed that the load kind of hanged a little bit. That door would actually be a fast skip too. Generally the Nemesis lurking music has fast skip, but anyway, moving on to the pharmacy. I always try to hug that wall to the left so that the Drain Demos there doesn't try to intersect me in the middle and start slashing at my feet. Because if he slashes at my feet once, then generally what they like to do is they like to back up and slash you again while you're running forward. It's a little bit of a trolley attack, but you can avoid getting backstepped and slashed again. I think that's the game's way of trying to encourage you to fight the enemies. There's a lot of similar enemy behavior in Resident Evil Survivor, actually, with hunters. But you kind of want to give Drain Demos a large berth, because of that. So the three solutions for this are Safsprin, Adravil, and Aquacure. Safsprin, for some reason, tends to work the most, about 66% of the time, so your first choice should always be Safsprin. And then Adravil should be next, because that's like the least number of key combinations and also has the second highest occurrence rate. So these guys coming in, because the chance of a full knockdown is exceptionally low with an emergency evade, your best bet is to just go ahead and projectile one zombie into the others. I messed up on that emergency evade there. You could see that I aimed, but I was a little too slow. I think being in caution actually messes up your the number of frames you have to gain a little bit. The number of dodge frames that you have. That's what I call them. Instead of aiming frames, I call them dodge frames. Alternately, there's another way to emergency evade. If you have an attack that... if your attack frames land into an enemy's attack frames, then you also execute a shove or a dodge. It'd be pretty much next to impossible to do with a zombie. Like with just the standard forward movement. No one's been able to identify which frames zombies attack on when they just like kind of shamble forward. So defensive evading with R1 as opposed to offensive evading by firing your gun is preferred against zombies. Also, we're going to climb up. Don't drop down. It's completely pointless. Offensive evading is generally only good against Nemesis when fighting in Nemesis %. So that one's going to shamble forward. Then we're going to squeeze to the right. Usually what I like to do is I like to run up the left side of those stairs in the event that that zombie is still moving forward, so that he'll hopefully move in the straightest and fastest line possible towards the stairs. That way, while I'm coming up, I could potentially make him vomit instead of grab me at the top of the stairs. It's a bit of a safety move. I'm not 100% sure what the best way is to dodge around Nemesis there when he comes out that way, but usually what I should be doing is I should just angle it and then he skate punches. But he didn't skate punch that time, he decided to grab with his left hand. That grab actually has a pretty wide radius, as I will show you during the fight with him in the Clocktower. So the first encounter with Gravedigger here, what we're going to do is just ignore him completely and just hit these switches and go up the ladder. And that pretty much completes the entire city section. No muss, no fuss. We only had to use one first aid spray this whole time, so that means we get 2 first aid sprays to carry with us to the first boss fight. And you're gonna need plenty of first aid sprays.
No, the brakes are out.
So for this life selection, choose to jump out of the train. It's always the fastest route no matter what.
It's useless.
Also in any percent or Nemesis percent, Carlos would give you some flame rounds. Naturally, we want to just straight up tell him no. The Clocktower section of the run is pretty quiet for the most part. Minimal enemy confrontation, just
Here's a gift for you.
lines mostly. Unless you actually fight Nemesis in the one encounter between here and the boss fight. There's another first aid spray on the table there. We'll get that on the way back through the double doors. If there's a Drain Demos there, he likes to jump toward the right side of that door. So always hug the left side, because it would be extremely awkward angle for him to launch himself in that direction and then somehow move himself to the left. Sometimes he can still grab you that way. It's a little bit of a BS attack. A lot of the dodges in here, though, are just take a pretty wide berth. Excuse me. Freudian slip yet again. I got pretty lucky on the RNG for this puzzle here. In version 1.0 on the PlayStation, this is a tone-based puzzle where the solution is to get the correct tonality of this music box by swapping these pegs around. But in version 1.1, which would be the greatest hits version of the game, I don't even think there was a greatest hits version of this game. I think there was simply a re-release without the Dino Crisis demo disc that actually modifies this puzzle so that the solution is up, down, up, down, up. Probably to make it accessible to players who are either tone deaf or hard of hearing. Because this actually is a pretty frustrating puzzle to people who have those particular problems. But anyway, we're gonna hit the light, throw Nemesis down, dodge around these spooters. Open the door with the key we just combined, and then we're going to solve the next puzzle. The two solutions that I definitively know are from highest to least and least to highest. In version 1.1, there's only 4 solutions as opposed to 6. This is the solution where Amber goes in the future, Obsidian goes in the center, and Crystal goes toward the left. But if it is a solution that is not either 5 o'clock or 11 o'clock, then what I do is I put the Obsidian in first, and whichever side needs to be shifted 6 hours ahead or behind, rather 6 hours ahead or 3 hours ahead, is the one that I put the Amber in next, and then I finish it up by putting in the Crystal. I'm actually pretty bad at telling time on analog clocks, in case you couldn't tell. Version 1.1 also fixes a bunch of other things, like a few places where you can hang Nemesis on certain object geometry. It adds some places and removes others. But the one place that we're going to hang Nemesis on in this boss fight coming up, it's pretty much the only way to ensure that we beat him. I like to try and get as many free hits off of him as I can while he's got his rocket launcher. Once he cocks his rocket launcher like that, I don't know what happened there, but I was trying to go a little further to the left, or no, what I was trying to do was I was trying to R1 dodge him. Because as long as you're a specific distance away, you can get away with dodging the rocket. But yeah, right about here is where most of the boss fight is going to take place. Depending on where he cocks his rocket launcher, there are a couple of safe spots to stand behind the lamppost in the center left of the screen. Like right about here, for instance. He's trying to hit me, and he did. I'm trying to squeeze in here so I can get back to this spot here, this particular tile. If I don't hit him, I try to move forward. Because I was using a controller adapter that actually had a lot of input lag and didn't even work with the game, so I had to use Joy to key for this one. I have a better controller adapter now, don't worry. I was experiencing a little bit of input lag, so it kind of hindered my fine movement a little bit. In this boss fight here, the only things that can actually kill you are Nemesis's rocket launcher, or his grabs, if he doesn't have a rocket launcher. Otherwise, he just, he'll just donkey punch you. If he donkey punches you, then it's, oh wow, I was almost dead there, actually. I was going to wait and heal for a second, because I thought that I had enough stabs left to, take him down there. But, apparently what I did was I parried him. That's another thing you can do. Is while he's cocking his rocket launcher, if you hit him during that, then he'll actually jiggle his rocket launcher upward and hit stun and miss. Because Nemesis actually does have like a little bit of minute hit stun while he's got his rocket launcher out. That's one of the things that I plan to work on a little more before AGDQ, should this run get accepted, is the spacing for this particular fight, because there's a lot of places where I'm missing a lot of free hits. If you get grabbed more than once at a time, after he throws you, then he grabs you again, then you can actually jiggle out of the second grab. But the second grab, if during the second grab you let the attack complete, then he'll kill you no matter what level of health you are. But generally, if you're at Caution Orange or Danger Red, then you will pretty much always die to a grab or a ground grab. So you have to be very mindful of the amount of HP you have left.
Please.
But this is overall one of the biggest, easiest places to lose time in the entire game. And it's also why I give it a large buffer
I woke up to the sound of
during a marathon setting.
I can't believe I'm still alive.
is because of this fight and also the fight with Nemesis Type 2 in the garbage compactor. Dropping the assault rifle and getting the knife. That way I can equip the knife at the area to use the tape recorder. The Carlos section is probably the easiest place for the run to end if you don't take advantage of room resets, if you get a certain enemy pattern. But the event design in the Carlos section of the game is actually pretty complex. Basically, you got a bunch of different layouts where zombies could or could not appear. Also, here's our first encounter with the Hunter Gamma. I decided to forego getting the first aid spray because I'm actually probably not going to wind up in caution by the time I clear 4th floor. 4th floor is a spot where the run could definitively end if you're not careful. But it is possible to manipulate hunter spawns. It's not possible to manipulate zombie spawns, but it is possible to manipulate hunter spawns. The way you do that is by... There's my input lag again. I accidentally opened the door instead of going to B3. Zombies may appear outside this elevator, but even if they do appear, don't worry about it, because when they respawn later, they'll show up in more towards the center of the room, and they'll never catch you by the time you reach the elevator. But if you visited 4th floor and do this section second, then there will be hunters in the basement and a thing of dynamite. And unless you can fight hunters with a knife, which by the way is really, really slow, they will crowd up on you when you try to make a mad dash for the elevator, and you will never ever be able to make it because the game won't let you close the doors if an enemy is right in front of the doors. So basically that means that you are completely SOL if you don't manipulate the hunters to spawn on the 4th floor instead. They'd basically choke you right here and the run would be over. You'd be forced to use a gun. So second area, 4th floor. Hunters will spawn after you do the second puzzle in this. By the way, the previous puzzle was preceded. It's 1-3A always. There's a little bit of a trick on this floor for the puzzle here. By checking this room, you can check the position of the shelf, or you could potentially YOLO the solution. You could potentially brute force the solution, depending on what direction the drawers on this little cart are facing. I got the slowest solution for this one, which where you have to push it toward all the way back here and then push it all the way to the left. Oh, wait, never mind. No, you have to push it this one to the right. This is actually probably the second slowest solution. But there's 4 solutions to this. All of them determined by RNG, by the way. There's no way to manipulate it. And the solution would be 325. So this is an example of what I was talking about earlier. If you did it in that serpentine hallway before, then the hunters would have immediately rushed you. So the only way to actually reliably get around this is if you reset the room. Fortunately, I only had to reset it once, but it does add about 30 seconds every time you try. Probably not even that long. It probably maybe like about 20 seconds actually. Whoa, what the hell happened to my audio there? I tried a different recording method, which is Bandicam, and I configured it to use the same onboard H.264 encoder that NVIDIA graphics cards use for shadow play, but It crushed the audio there. I have no idea what happened. So anyway, Nemesis spawns. We just run. I combined the vaccine in a previous trip to the menu, specifically so that I could eliminate a menu prompt, and it would save about maybe 0.2 seconds, I suppose. The way the game streams data, loads event data, cutscenes. Anyway, so using the lockpick to enter this door, grabbing this key. The zombie on the outside here, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pivot left and run, but sometimes he likes to go a little quickly, so what I like to do is I like to run forward a little bit, quick turn, and then hug the wall. There's a lot of variance in the enemy patterns here. I got zombies here, which is alright. Then I can like go between those zombies, do a little quick turn motion to get behind that one. And I also got dogs here, so that basically means that hunters can't do a one-hit kill on me, do an unlucky one-hit kill on me. I decided to equip the knife here because I got zombies. It's better that I get hunters in this area, they're a lot easier to dodge. But this is one of those zombies where, just like at the arcade shops in the city section, he's kind of in a awkward rotational value, just like sitting there to a point where he can walk forward and then suddenly be in the middle of the lane in one step. So he moved forward, and I had no choice but to do a defensive shove. I can't really explain like what the solution is to that puzzle that I just did. It's 100% a pre-seeded solution. There's no RNG, but it's like really fast. It's just playing this game for years and years and years. I've just do that solution so fast that I can't even explain what I'm doing by the time I'm done. I'll just pretend it's like some kind of weird magic trick. So for the Gravedigger section coming up, if you feel not so confident in your ability to dodge Gravedigger when he comes out of the ground, because the execution, the timing there is a little bit tight, there is a first aid spray in the save room. To get an S rank, you can use up to 7 first aid sprays plus 1 green herb before it actually starts to count against you. The ranking system in Resident Evil 3 is very, very lenient. So the knife-only strat for Gravedigger here is to run forward before he pops out of the ground so that you don't get trapped there. Normally you would just stand there and shoot, but anyway, we're just gonna like kind of slowly move forward and just like only run when he's about to attack. Now he's going down. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go to one of several positions where his head will pop out. There's about like 7 or 8 different spots where he is scripted to pop out, but only a few of them where you will actually have some buffer to be able to move around. So he's coming back out here. I think it would have been better to do all those dodges on the other side so that when he's doing the whole Bugs Bunny thing, you can just like stand closer to the center and then just like prompt him to pop his full body out on the other side. But once again, I'm doing this. He's gonna pop out maybe about 4 times again. I'm still fine-tuning the strategy, but he popped out like 2 times, so I think he's got like a specific amount of time he's underground before he actually does come out of the ground. In the second to last phase before you can kill him. He likes to lunge forward twice sometimes, depending on where you are on the map. So when this cutscene shows up, and these light posts start to tilt down a little, then you can use the aim object key to aim at them and knock down both of these. I heard him popping up on the other side, so we're losing time on this section here where he pops out on the other side, and you can't go directly to the gate. But if I was able to spawn him where I was trying to stand earlier, then I would have just been able to run directly for this gate here, and I actually probably would have saved about 10 seconds or so. You have to take a little bit of a weird line in order to get around those worms. I think there's a straighter line that you could take. If you drop down into the water, pivot left maybe. I like to wait for that zombie to step forward a little bit so that I can try and get him to vomit and gain push priority just in case. That zombie went into the center of the lane. Really, I could have just went behind him. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just trying to look cool. And now we're moving on to the final area of the game.
Stars.
We're going to choose to push him off because it has the shortest event skips, as opposed to going to the basement, even though you run a shorter distance in the basement. So we're going to grab a first aid spray and that key there. And we'll flick these two switches. This is by and far the only thing that's like legitimately a glitch in the game. You can clip through this steam here. It's just as well because solving this puzzle the rest of the way is for the birds anyway. So we're gonna grab the system disk, hug this wall, and we're gonna do a bit of a bite dodge so that we can go directly for the elevator and dodge those other ones. You have to continue hugging that wall the whole time, and you'll only take one bite. There can be either Drain Demos, Hunters, or Zombies in this room here. You want Drain Demos, or it doesn't really matter. For this room here, there's worms. Sometimes there can be Hunters. If there's Hunters, then you're going to pretty much take an unavoidable hit. And sometimes the Hunters there can just combo you to death. I tried to slide off the lip of that and grab the first aid spray. It was pretty unsuccessful. I also moused out for a second to trigger a bot command in my chat that would tell me the 4 solutions to this puzzle. I can never remember them, but there's 4 solutions. What I got was mid, low, so I shifted to the right once, then right 4 times, and then left 4 times. Trying to get my finer movement down. Picking up that first aid spray would have actually been a lot faster if I didn't have to deal with input lag while doing this run. So if there's worms here, you can just hold up and right and get around them, but if there's hunters there, then there's a trick to dodging both of them, where you just drop down, turn right, hug a wall, and then go to the lip. Go to that other lip over there. And there's one more zombie here. Just like lure him forward, run behind him. And now we're about to go fight Nemesis Type 2 in the garbage disposal.
Warning. Proceeding with operation in treatment room. Please evacuate immediately.
We have 4 minutes to defeat him. It's a lot easier to do with guns, obviously. The only way that you can do this fight is by smacking some valves on the wall that will spurt out acid and hit Nemesis. And they have to hit him 3 times. And they also have a really, really long startup time before Nemesis actually gets hit by them, so trial and error and, you know, trying to get them working correctly, it's like the timing is really tight, and you have to be able to know a thing or two about manipulating Nemesis AI. So, starting here, we slash on the second step that he makes, stand on that puddle there, get him to attack forward, and then he gets hit by the first valve. Then the second one here is whenever he says stars, you slash the wall, and then you hold up and right, and hopefully he quick turns and tries to do a longer attack, come after you. And once you're in Form 3, which is Headless Nemesis, once you're in Phase 3, it gets a little bit more difficult because he'll either go left or right, and you can see that both these times, like, even though he wasn't actively trying to dodge the valves, which he does do, he was still just moving forward. But the valves have to spray him for a fairly prolonged period of time, to the point where you have to see his body twitching, like, I don't know, maybe 3-4 times? Maybe even once, actually. I'm not sure. But I think Nemesis has a separate HP gauge for this particular fight. Because whenever I use Bio 3 SRT, which is a tool made by D-Chaps that allows me to view boss HP as well as my own HP, in this fight, he doesn't take any additional damage. So, he's got a separate HP gauge.
Evacuate immediately.
So for this dodge over here, you would hug those rails. Man, that is so sloppy. I cringe every time I look at that. But it was possible for me to just, like, run right to them. They just surrounded me and they kept grabbing me and I kept trying to get out, but there was, like, almost no earthly way to do it. That was just really bad luck there.
Warning.
You only need maybe 1 first aid spray for the final boss fight, if that, to be able to safely clear this final area of the game. But you don't actually need to attack or nothing. The fight to be able to complete it in general is just 100% positioning. You could make it go a little bit faster if you attack Nemesis and bring his HP to under 202 before the second rail cannon shot. But for knife only, it takes about 3 rail cannon shots to kill him, because his HP needs to be under 202, and the only way to actually trigger Nemesis' final death animation is if his HP is under 202 when the first shot out of a volley of rail cannon shots, which happens about maybe every 15 seconds or so, whenever it's the first shot that hits him. It's kind of a strange way for the kill animation to trigger, so even if he's at like 400 HP, you still have to have him under 202 HP for him to actually die. Otherwise his HP simply goes to 0 and he doesn't die. It's probably to make the actual death scene a little more anticlimactic or something.
Rail cannon has been activated. Executing quick charge program. Prepare exit. Fire.
This fight itself is actually not that long. ran over towards this side after the third battery is pushed in because I wanted to try to lure him closer to me. I'm trying to find positions where I can get Nemesis on the ground and into the cannon's firing path. If he comes down over there, then I just like run directly to the other side of this area. You can see him again. Trying to lure him down there again. I think I realized like midway through that the best way to do that is to just go directly towards the flaming tyrant over there. And there's volley number 2, which brings him to just under 400 HP. So volley number 3 is the one that will bring him to 0 HP, but will not kill him. You could hear the screaming again. Once he's at 0 HP, then he'll just start feasting on the dead tyrant in the corner of the room. And the next shot will kill him, so pretty much done with the run at this point.
Warning. System overheating. Enter cooldown mode.
There's also a final live selection here that will let you decide if you want to finish off Nemesis or you just want to go to the door. In the speedrun, you always choose to go to the door. The option that says elevator, the second one.
Jill! Over here!
Otherwise, Jill will pick up a magnum off of a dead soldier and just unload into Nemesis and kill him. But anyways, that's that. That's Resident Evil 3 knife only.
And now we have a rather unfortunate turn of events. It seems that the president and
Rest in
Federal
peace,
Council
Raccoon City.
have passed judgment over the civilians of Raccoon City. The president and Federal Council have ruled that the Bacillus Terminate operation is the best course of action for this extreme situation, and have since executed. Based on that fact, Raccoon City has been literally wiped off the map. Current reports of the death toll.
This commentary was recorded in front of a live studio audience. Hi guys, how's it going?
To those poor civilians of Raccoon City.
The final game time will show after the credits. That's the one-timer that really matters. Really not much else to say. Except just kinda take in these amazing power ballads here. Except would you really call it a power ballad if there's no ballad to accompany it? Probably not. Maybe you should anyway. But that's pretty much it. The main reason I recorded this video was to have a Resident Evil 3 submission for AGDQ 2017. I will definitely be improving on this time in the future, regardless of whether it gets accepted into AGDQ or not. But if you like what you see, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel And also, please follow my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/CarcinogenSDA. And obligatory sellout time. If you want to further support my bad speedrunning habits, there's a Patreon link below. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyway, that's it. Thank you all for watching, and see you next run.